Hey, what's up everybody? Chris here, and today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I've got a list of different topics that I want to cover, of course. It's kind of a rolling list that's ever adjusting, but one that I've had on there for a while that I've been meaning to get to is sort of an updated game room tour. And so if you've been following this channel at all for any length of time, you may have noticed that the background has changed over the course of the past year. In our house, we put some new flooring down in some different rooms, and it gave me an opportunity to actually totally move my gaming setup and my movie setup into a totally different space. So what I'm going to do is just sort of walk you through that, and I think if nothing else, this is just sort of an illustration that you can have a relatively small space and turn it into a gaming space, a space that you can be proud of and enjoy and, sort of share with the world, so to speak. So anyway, I wanted to sort of walk you through that. It's going to be probably kind of briefish because it is a small room and there's not a whole lot to cover here, but it gives you a little perspective on how I have things set up, and maybe it'll give you some ideas for how you could also set things up on your end. So without further ado, let's take a look. So this is the space where I have my television, and so this is actually a 75 inch, which is comically large for this room, but I gotta be honest with you, I love it. But it's a 75 inch Hisense 4K TV with 60 hertz, so it's not getting 120 FPS, but 60 FPS that I found for a pretty good deal at Best Buy. I think it was something like 700 bucks. I got it when I moved a lot of my stuff into this room, and I have really enjoyed it. So far, I've been satisfied with it. I've had this TV for a little under a year now, and I don't know longevity-wise how it's going to hold up. I've seen a couple of mixed things about Hisense as a brand, but so far I've been more than happy with it. It looks great, games play great, and again look great on it. Movies look great. So far so good. You can see that I've got my Xbox Series S on the top shelf of my little gaming center there, as well as my PS5 on the bottom shelf. And I kind of wanted to stand up the PS5, but it's just so massively large. And if you have a PlayStation 5, you kind of understand this scenario and how it can be difficult to find a space for it. But it just fit perfectly on its side. I do think that, I prefer maybe the vertical look a little bit more, but it just space-wise fits well there, and I've gotten used to how it looks there. So that's my gaming setup. I had my Series S down in our family living room over the past couple of months, just to use it for a couple of different things as far as TV goes and that sort of stuff. But I did move it back up here. I've really enjoyed having it in this space. And again, the Series S is so small that it's really, I think for a lot of people, kind of hard to comprehend if you haven't seen it in person, but it really does sort of fit anywhere. But again, just to give you a sense of how small the Series S is, because again, I don't think a lot of people really fully understand this. I'm just going to put my hand next to it so you can kind of see. I mean, literally, my hand doesn't cover it, but it comes close. And so again, it's a console that I have been continually impressed by, and you've seen a lot of my content, I'm sure, focused on the Series S. I've got more of that on the way, but highly recommend if you've been on the fence about that. So I think just showing you also some of the artwork I have. I've got an Empire Strikes Back print that my wife got for me for Christmas one year, and I've loved it and had it in a couple different places, but it fits really well here. And I've got a Mandalorian print next to that I've had for some time that I finally did get framed and hung up. I have sort of a mini, I think it's 9 inch by 9 inch Halo print that I found on Etsy, and I love the way it looks. I think it just looks really nice. It fits in this space well. It's sort of an unusual shadow box kind of effect that it has going on, but I really enjoy it. There are also a couple of movie prints that I found on Etsy that I found frames for to go along with that I put above the TV just to kind of round things out and to give it a little bit of sort of a artwork framing perspective to it. But Jurassic Park and Aliens, of course, just some sort of modern art, if you want to look at it that way, associated with those two movies. And again, I think that it looks really nice in here. And I'm not the sort of person who enjoys having a ton of clutter, but again, in this space, I think this fits well. So at my local video game store, Video Game World here in Huntersville, North Carolina. So I'm in the Charlotte area, but in Video Game World, they had a couple of Nintendo Switch prints that I was able to pick up, and they had them framed already, and they were easy to hang up. Again, as a massive Nintendo fan, I felt like I really would enjoy having these, and so I did get them and hang them up. And again, they sort of round out this overall space where I have the television and my game set up very nicely. And then the last thing I did in this area in particular was put some backlighting behind the television. So if anybody's interested in these, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to send a link to show where I picked those up. I think they were $15 to $20, something like that. But I ended up having to get, I think it was 2 sets because of how big the TV is to go around the back. But it really adds a nice effect. And the nice thing about it too is, and if you have backlights, you understand this, but you can turn off the lamp in your room or the overhead light and you still have a little bit of ambient light. It's not sort of a blackout effect, but it just looks really nice. It makes the TV look like it's floating. It, for me, adds a little more depth to the picture. It's sort of a weird kind of optical thing going on with that, but again, I really enjoy it. So here is just a small sort of shoe rack that I picked up and turned into kind of a mini bookshelf, mini display space. And so I have my PS5 headphones there. You can see a small stand that I picked up for those on Amazon. I think that was maybe $10 or $15, but it's worked out really well. I've got my Xbox Series S controllers over here. I have actually been using my Elite Series 1 from the Xbox One controller more recently because I just think overall it's more comfortable than the standard controllers that come with the Series S, but I do like the Series S because of the share button, the controllers that is. I think that was a needed add-on. And I'm the kind of person who actually uses that more frequently than some people might, but I really enjoy it. I've got my Ghostbusters Proton Pack Power Wand here as well, as is my PlayStation 5 remote for TV purposes, and then the control remote for the backlighting, and then some books and other things that I have as well. I'm a big Lego fan, and I've always wanted one of the Saturn V Rocket Lego sets. I got that last summer, put it together with my son. It was a great time. It fits in this space really well. It doesn't take up a lot of space. I have a fake plant just to give it sort of some natural ambiance because I've had real plants in the past. I do not have a green thumb. They tend not to last too long, but this fits in here really well. And then I've also got a K2SO that I got from my son when he was little, but he decided he didn't want it in his room anymore, so I've placed it here, being the Star Wars fan that I am. And then also a Game Boy container travel case that I've had ever since I was a little kid. So I've had this forever. I've gotten a ton of use out of it over the years, but obviously now it's really more of a display thing than anything else, kind of a nostalgia thing, but it fits well. And then a lot of my DVDs are in this big binder here. So years ago, to save space, I got rid of the DVD cases that I had, and I've got mixed feelings about doing that, but I do think it was a good space saver thing, and so a lot of the movies that I own are here in this binder. Now here, you're going to see the beginnings of my Funko Pop collection. So I'm not going to go through all of those here. I may make a separate video about that, but you can see here where I have really amassed a lot of these over the years. And then you see an East Carolina University cutout that my nephew made for me, which was really sweet. And so I'm an ECU alum, go Pirates. And so, of course, I love to have that on display. I think that's great. Another one of my Lego space acquisitions, the International Space Station. It's not an especially massive piece, but it is really cool and it fits in this space really well, and I enjoy it. This is where I charge my controllers. I've got just one of the USB-C adapters plugged in, and I switch out my PS5 controller. And I actually really use this more for the headsets than anything, but it's a good place to have that and to keep things charged. And then, of course, the continuation of the Funko Pops. And you'll see more of that here in just a moment. One thing that I do want to make some videos about here in the not too distant future is a hobby I have where I paint a lot. So you may see in some of my videos in the background, sort of propped against the wall or whatever, canvases that I finished. And so this is one. This is a Star Trek canvas that I finished years ago. It fit really well in this space over the closet in this room where I store a lot of extra crap that I have, quite honestly. But you'll see some of these in different videos from time to time. This is a piece of art that I picked up at Star Wars Celebration 6, a limited edition piece called Scoundrels, where it's got Han Solo and Indiana Jones in sort of a two-face kind of split configuration. I thought it was really cool, and I've really had this in sort of a prominent place anytime I've had a game room or anywhere else that I wanted to sort of display that. And I love it. I think it just looks awesome. I've had a lot of compliments on it over the years, and so this is one of the things that I really enjoy. This is a treadmill that I hardly ever use, along with a Panthers Bank of America stadium painting that I need to hang up at some point. I haven't quite done it yet. Yeah, but I really need to get that treadmill out and start using it. The pandemic and being home and eating constantly has not been awesome. Even though I do try and get out and walk a couple of miles every day, I really should use this treadmill more often. What you're going to see here really are three kind of shelves where I have the rest of my Funko Pops and my game collection, my physical game collection. So mostly I'm digital now, but for Nintendo stuff, I still do like to collect physical. I've tried to pare that down over the years, but you can see my Switch collection here. It's not massive. And I am going to actually make a video about this in the coming months to sort of walk through the different physical games that I've got. It might be a 2-part video, but here it is in all its glory. And again, you can see my Funko Pop collection, which is ever growing. I don't know at this point how many I have. It's a good bit. I've got a lot of Star Wars Funko Pops, right? I've got a lot of those that I've had over the years. I've got my Series S box, my controller boxes, my limited 3DS and Xbox One and Xbox 360 physical collection, as well as the display boxes for the NES Classic and the SNES Classic. But also there at the bottom, you can see my Blu-ray movies. So a lot of those are in that binder, but I still do have a lot in the cases because I wanted to save the cases for some of these, and there they are. Then lastly over here, I've got the remainder of my Funko Pops, as well as my Fallout 4 Liberty Prime. I'm getting my robots mixed up. Liberty Prime robot that I made another video about that I'll link in the description below if you haven't seen that. I love this. This is one of the best pieces I've got in my game room. I just think it looks really cool. The remainder of my Funko Pop collection is here as well. And so, yeah. Oh yeah, also before I forget, here is a painting that I did of Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. And so that's kind of tucked away for the time being, but I might make a video about my painting soon, as I mentioned earlier. So in all its glory, this is the game room, and I hope that it has been entertaining and interesting. And as always, I really appreciate everybody's viewership. Thanks for watching, and let me know about your game room. You know, how do you have it set up? Is it comparable? Is it different? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, thanks for watching.